Hello, and welcome to the 5th episode of Kicking It with Caitlin, with your host, me, Caitlin. I would just like to apologize real quick. I missed Thursday's deadline. I know, rookie mistake. I shouldn't have been filming the episode Wednesday at 9 o'clock at night when it's due Thursday morning at 8. I shouldn't have done that to begin with, and then to make it worse, I guess it was time for me to learn my lesson, and I didn't change my audio hardware settings, so yes, I could hear myself, and I thought it sounded kind of funky, but you know what? I was like okay with it, and I just rolled with it. I spoke for an hour and 45 minutes, and when I went back to listen to myself so I could start editing, it was terrible. Did I cry? No. I am surprised that I didn't, because my period is coming. And I've been a bitch to everyone. So I'm surprised that I didn't cry. So here we are now on Friday. This probably is never going to happen again. But to show that I am sorry, I am going to be telling y'all a story today that I never thought I would tell to anyone except for Emily, because she lived through it with me. And I definitely didn't expect for me to have a podcast and be saying it out loud and posting it to that podcast, knowing that what I'm going to say is going to make people think differently probably about me, but you live and you learn, whatever. So that's what we've got going on for today. Next order of business is that I have gotten a no-no word board. I know I kept talking about it, but I made it a reality. On the board, we have words such as so, like, honestly, and the phrase, okay, so. I am most likely going to continue saying those words, but I am going to try my best not to. And if I do say those words, you have to take a shot. Yep, you have to take a shot. Or if you're not a drinker, you have to do 5 push-ups, because everyone's getting fat. So I'm just helping you out. So. I'm just kidding. Fuck. I'm just fucking with you. As of recently, I have been driving around like everywhere in my little go-kart. I have probably spent at least 18 hours in the car in the last week. Not even the last 2 weeks, but in the last week, because of my commutes. And then I added some extra time because we were celebrating my birthday. One thing that I didn't realize until recently was that, sorry, I always eat before I do this, and I probably shouldn't, but I have to burp. So one thing that 5 push-ups, shot. Anyways, one thing that I have learned in the last week is how to weaponize my vehicle. I am typically driving in the fast lane because I got places to be, people to see, things to do, you know. So I want to get there as fast as possible, and everyone knows the left lane is the fast lane. The middle lane is the regular speed lane, and the right lane is the slow lane. That's law, and that's that. And you know what? If you're in the fast lane and you're going slow, you're supposed to respectfully move to the middle lane and let the people behind you pass. That's also law. And I'm saying law because I'm saying law because I don't think common sense is a real thing anymore. People have proved to me from time and time again that it does not exist. So whenever I am in the fast lane and there's a car in front of me who's going ridiculously slow, I will ride their ass. If they're the problem, I will ride their ass. But what I don't like is whenever the car in front of me is a problem and the person behind me is riding my ass. Why are you riding my ass? My car, I drive a sedan. You can literally see that there's cars in front of me. Why are you riding my ass? I'm not the problem. And that has happened to me so many times as of recently, and I have learned the secret. And we're going to keep it a secret because I don't have very many people listening to this podcast. So only a couple people will be able to weaponize themselves like this. When someone is riding your ass in the fast lane when you're already going fast and it's not your fault, I give you permission to turn on your windshield wiper fluid and let that shit fly back on the car behind you. I know that is completely diabolical, but like every time that I've done that, I get like a little, like we'll be going 80 and I will get just like a little bit of water or fluid on me. And the car behind me, I just see their windshield wipers moving. And I'll do it for a long time. Like I'll hold that motherfucker down and I'll just drown the car behind me. But you know what? It freaking works. It works. And they're not going to have road rage. You want to know why? Because they're also trying to get places. And if the car in front of you is the problem and you're in the fast lane, the chance of them speeding up to you, getting right next to you in your window, like to flick you off or just pretend like they're yelling at you, is really slim because you're in the fast lane. So that's how you weaponize your vehicle without doing any harm to anyone. The reason that I did so many hours in the car this last week is because my birthday was on Sunday, September 24th, and my parents and Emily, along with myself, we had a plan. So on Wednesday, me and my mom went to Stubbs Amphitheater for the Cannons concert. I had bought the VIP ticket to this months in advance because I knew I wanted to go. I just didn't know who I was going to go with, but it ended up being my mom. I had never been to Stubbs before, and nor did I do my research ahead of time. Thankfully, it wasn't super, super hot that day, and the sun was going down by the time we got there, but it was still hot. It was in the 90s. It just wasn't at 100, so it wasn't scorching hot. I am probably not going to be happy that I post this later on in life because it might make me miss some job opportunities, but I hated Stubbs Amphitheater. I hated it. I don't recommend going there to anyone, and that includes people who want to work there, people who are customers there, and I don't suggest going there even for the artists. The whole thing was miserable. I got there around 6 because the VIP check-in was 5:30 to 6:30. They had us plan to do a Q&A, meet and greet, take a picture with them, and then have early access to merchandise along with food, drinks, and, the stage so we can line up early. I really just went to line up early and then get the picture. So I'm there at 6 o'clock with my mom. And I don't know about you guys, but I am very protective of my mom. Like, if anyone comes near my mom or looks at her ugly at a concert or festival, I'm fucking throwing hands. I will be worse than the Morgan Wallen porta potty girl. I will make sure that they are bleeding or they're not breathing. There is no in between. I don't even care if they're 7 feet tall and I'm 5'2". I don't care if they are a bodybuilder or what. I will protect my mom. Well, now she's yelling at me. I will protect my mom all the way through. So that kind of made me nervous bringing her to a concert that wasn't seated. Thankfully, there was a little ledge that she stood up on, and it was really nice. She had air in front of her and to the side of her, so she was safe. Me, on the other hand, I was in the front row. I was on the rail. And let me tell you, it was so miserable. Like I said, it wasn't scorching hot, but it wasn't cool. Since it's an amphitheater, it does not have any holes or any sort of place where the wind can come in from the stage because the sound is supposed to go outwards. But they have a huge fence line around the amphitheater, which makes there be even less of a circulation. I probably should have noticed that this was going to be miserable whenever they were giving out free water, because if you have ever been to downtown Austin, damn near nothing is free, and that should have been alarming me in the first place. So the opening acts that were there, I do not appreciate that they were up there for so long. I believe they were like up there for like 2 hours. Like, imagine having a 2-hour opening act. I didn't appreciate that. I was only there to see the Cannons. And during the opening act, 4 people next to me passed out. I don't know if it was because of dehydration, because of the heat, because they couldn't breathe. I don't know. But it was not comfortable at all. One of the guys passed out twice, and then he seized out. And they took him to the hospital. I don't know what happened after that, but that should have been alarming to me, and we probably should have left. But we were already there, and I had a front row Joe. Like, if I hadn't had air in front of me, if I had someone in front of me, I would have left. And I had anticipated to start going towards the back and just chilling on top of the hill and watching them from a distance anyways, but I was starting to be upset that I didn't think I was going to last before they even got on to sing their first song. Long story short, it was really miserable to be there as part of the audience, and I'm sure it was miserable for the artist as well, because Michelle was just drenched in sweat. Her hair was curled before the show, really cute, and then by the end of the show, her hair was like wet because of her sweat. And I could see the person who was on keys, I'm sorry, I don't know their name. They were bright red. It was uncomfortable for everyone, but it just kind of sucked because we had been standing there in that heat for so long. It made their whole concert not enjoyable, which, yes, I enjoyed myself, but I don't think that I got the optimum. I don't think that I got the best viewing of that show. I feel like I would have had a way better time had it been maybe at like Austin City Limits where it's air conditioned. It didn't have to be a seated show, but they would have had a way better time performing in there because, yes, they would have probably sold out the place and there would have been some seats people can sit on. But the major point of what I'm saying is that like it needed to have like some sort of air condition because there was no circulation. What is disappointing is that the security people who were working that night, they were on point. And there is nothing wrong with being on point. But the reason that I say that is because they showed up to work and they expected people to pass out and they were going to have to drag them out. Just think about that. If people are showing up to work and they are expecting others to pass out while they're trying to work the show, shouldn't we not have shows there anymore? I mean, at least 6 people passed out at the show that I was at, and it was mild. No one was moshing. There wasn't very much dancing going on, and it was not hot. It was not scorching hot. Imagine how many concerts they've had there during the summertime, and more people have passed out. So shame on you, Stubbs Amphitheater. That definitely should not be happening, because why do you think it's okay to let people put themselves at risk just for a concert? I will never go back there again unless someone pays me to go there, because it was just not a good experience, and I do not wish this same experience on anyone. Overall, I think that the concert was pretty okay. I don't regret going, but I'm not going to say that I had the best time of my whole life. Luckily, during the concert, my mom found my cousins, Erica and Liamati, and then my friend, George, was there with his wife. So it was nice to see all of them and get to take a picture at the end. We ended up staying there and talking probably too long because the security people told us this isn't the club and we needed to get out. So we left. So that was just the beginning of the birthday celebrations on Wednesday, because on Thursday, me and Emily went out because I wanted to go to the R&B night at the Mark at the Square. And Gabby, who basically runs downtown, ended up DJing at the Mark, which made it Latin night, which I wasn't upset about, but I also was looking forward to R&B night. It was pretty lame. I'm not gonna lie. It was lame. I saw one of my little cousins there. I always forget that place is 18 and up, so it struck me by surprise. I was like, what the fuck are you doing here? And we took a picture, and I'm not gonna say who it was because he'd asked me not to talk about it, and here I am talking about it. And he asked me not to post a picture, so I'm not going to post a picture. But I saw them there, and that was, it made me feel old, because why are my younger cousins now being let into clubs and bars? That night, we left around 1 because Emily had school in the morning, and I had to give my tour the next morning. So we just went out for a little while. And then on Friday, we decided to go to this place called, I think it's Blind Salamander on the Square, Me and Emily split a pitcher of margarita, but honestly, I think I am allergic to alcohol because it doesn't matter how little I drink now. I am like viciously throwing up the next morning. It just does not work for me. I won't even be tipsy and I am throwing up the next morning. It's not cute, it's not pretty, and it's not fun to go through. After we finished that, or more like after Emily finished the pitcher of margarita, we went to Nephew's and we waited in the really long line because I'm not paying $20 to skip the line. It's never worth it to begin with. I just think that club and bar music of this generation fucking sucks. So I'm not paying $20 to get somewhere and then just leave, because that's what happens most of the time. But I don't mind Nephew's because the drink prices are cheap. If I'm going to throw up, I might as well pay a little less than $8. The drinks there are $4. So it ended up being like 1:30 by the time that I was like, Emily, I'm hungry. I want some Buc-ee's. And if y'all know Emily, Emily does not drive anywhere that is outside of the route. So I knew that it was going to be a long shot even getting her to go. And she was like, no, we're not going there. But Emily also loves Buc-ee's. So I was like, really? Because Buc-ee's sounds really good right now. And I threw out like all her favorite food at her that's from Buc-ee's, and she still wasn't budging. But you know what got her? I was like, okay, fine, I'll pay. She was like, fuck you, let's go. So we left before 1:30, or around 1:30 on Friday too. Then on Saturday, Anicia stopped by and bought me some flowers that are right there. I'm looking at them. They're really cute and pretty. I wasn't planning on going out, but after seeing her, I was like, oh, I want to go out with my friends. So then I texted them all last minute, and only like a couple of them could come, and I was like, okay, whatever. So I just texted Emily, and I had asked her, like, I think I want to go out. And what ended up happening is that we went to Putt Pub in San Marcos, and they gave me my round of mini golf for free. I'm very competitive, so I had told Emily before we had even started, whoever loses this round has to buy us a round of shots. I whooped her ass. That's all I wanted to say about that. And she bought me a drink. She did better than buying a shot. She bought me a drink, and I enjoyed that. We also went to the Vault, which I'm not a huge fan of their music either. And then we went to Wildfire, and their music is good. The only problem is that they don't have a big space to dance and like congregate at, so it's kind of awkward. We dipped out of that place, and then we hit up Nephew's, and I got embarrassed because we saw people who we had seen the past 2 days there. So I was like, we could just go home. It was like 1:30 again. We hadn't stayed until the bar closed. Every single night that we went, we were dipped out. We don't learn our lesson. It's not worth it, and it's easier said than done because I enjoy getting dressed up and going out and just hanging out with my friend, because nighttime is like really the only time we're available, but nothing's open except for the bar. So we keep going there, and we just need to stop. It worked out in our favor though, because on Sunday, Emily had made a reservation for us to go to the Steiner Ranch brunch buffet. Emily dropped like $80. It was an experience to say the least, but me and her decided that we would not go back again. So this is not me telling you to go there. I'm just saying that's where we went. And I'm appreciative that Emily gave me the experience. And now I can say that I've been there, but we decided together we will not be going back. After brunch, Emily had to rush me back home because my parents had made a reservation at this fancy restaurant in Austin. I'm not sure if it's a chain or if it's like just one of those fancy restaurants, but it's called Trulux, and I had been wanting to go ever since I was like a little kid because my parents went to this place like every time it was their anniversary, and I had always been told like, no, you're not allowed to go. So on my 22nd birthday, they were like, let's go to Trulux. Now, they didn't have to bring my brother, but they graciously brought him, and I loved it. The crab that I ate was so freaking good, but it was also really freaking expensive. Thankfully, whenever I go with my parents, they let me do whatever I want, eat however I want, and say what I want because they know that like there's no point in fighting with me because I'm going to do what I want. Whenever I go out to fancy restaurants with other people, they're like, you need to have restaurant etiquette. No, I am about to just eat this because it's food and y'all are making a big deal out of nothing. Like, everyone here is paying the same price. It doesn't matter how you eat it. Like, just let me eat it. And I am not saying that I don't have manners, but why am I going to eat a king crab leg with a fork and knife? No, thank you. I grabbed that shit with my hands and bit it. If you have never been to a fancy restaurant, just understand that you're going to get chortled the next morning. Like, especially if everyone orders something different and you're trying all this different shit. Everything is really rich in flavor and most of it's high quality anything, which you typically don't have. We typically have like really processed food. And even if you don't have really processed food, the food that you're being served at the fancy restaurant is really rich. And so your stomach probably is going to have a hard time handling it. Most people do. I know I did. So before we even left the restaurant, I was like, we got to go home. We got to go home. And my mom looked at me and she was like, Kaylin, just leave your mark. I was like, Mom, we need to leave now. Ugh, our waiter took so long. And something that I did find really weird was that they charged per soda refill. Texas Roadhouse doesn't charge per soda refill. Why do y'all? You're already getting more of our money. Why do you need to charge us for every refill out of your freaking soda fountain? That was so lame. And I didn't like the waiter's cologne, and I was like, ugh. Ugh. He did not make it a personal experience. I really enjoyed my food, but did I think it was overpriced? Yes. Did I enjoy my time? Yes. Would I make my parents take me there again? No, because I've been once and that's enough. Finally, the last day, Monday of my birthday celebrations, my mom had bought, or Santiago's mom, Pat, I don't know who bought the tickets, but me, my mom, and Pat all went to the Alamo Dome in San Antonio to go see Pink perform. Now, I haven't kept up with Pink, and I only know her old songs, except for like the couple songs that have gone viral on like TikTok and then that they play on the radio. But I'm not like a diehard Pink fan. I mean, I'm a fan, but I wouldn't call myself like a super fan. I was just excited to go because my mom was excited to go and Pat was excited to go. It was an experience that we were going to be able to share together, and I really enjoy going to stuff like that. So that's the ticket that my mom had bought me for my birthday. Pink put on one hell of a freaking show. I have been to many concerts, many festivals, a lot of performances, and I have never experienced anything like that before. If you ever have the chance to go see Pink, and even if you don't listen to her, you need to go. It doesn't matter if your seats are in the nosebleeds. She's flying through the air, and she performed in front of the nosebleeds section like a couple feet away. That is one hell of an experience. I mean, there's no words to describe it. I know like it was really funny and silly to see all the lesbians there and all the middle-aged women there. And I was there with my mom. I am not middle-aged yet, but I'm not super young. So it was the lesbians, the middle-aged people, and their kids. That's who was there. There weren't that many men there. But I did enjoy the fact that everyone showed up in the right aesthetic. Everyone was wearing pink. Pink and black was what everyone was wearing. It was really cutesy. I really enjoyed it. And something that stuck with me that Pink said was that you're not an artist if no one sees your work. I just wanted to point that out because I'm sitting here preaching to you, you need to post your work, and international star Pink saying the same thing. So I just want to let y'all know. Here is the story that I have added, this is the story time that I have added to this episode as my way of saying I'm sorry for missing the original drop date, okay? I'm not going to sugarcoat this. This was the time that I went on a date with an ex-meth head. Yes, you heard that right. Now, if any of my family members are watching this, or just any of y'all in general, I didn't know that he was a meth head before I went on the date, okay? So y'all have got to chill out. I just want to clarify that real quick. So, yeah. Up here on Kicking It with Caitlin, I am going to speak what I need to say. I'm going to say the names I need to say for the sake of a story, because why am I going to sit here and fiddle with a name that doesn't exist while the person who did those things or has done things I'm talking about has a perfectly good name to use? On this channel, on this podcast, I am not using fake names. A, because you did that shit. B, because you did that shit. C, I'm not going to sit here and think about a fake name and then accidentally use your name and have to edit that out. So I've got no shame. I'm going to say what I need to say, and I am going to say it the easiest way to say it. Period. So, I love online dating. Do I date online? I mean, not really. Do I take it seriously? Sometimes. It depends on what time of the month it is. So I really, really like Tinder. I have figured it out. I have it down to a T. And I found this guy on Tinder. His name is Chris. So me and Chris matched on Tinder, and he was really cool. That was so lame of me to say. His name was Chris. We met on Tinder, and then what ended up happening is that we went to 54th Street, and I, was getting to know him a little bit, and our food comes, and I'm like halfway in my burger, and he's like, do you drink? Do you do drugs? And I'm like, no, I don't do drugs, and I don't really like to drink, which is true. I'm not a real big fan of drinking. I drink socially, but that's about it. I just told him that I don't drink. Then he proceeds to tell me that he doesn't do any of that stuff because he used to be a meth head. Okay. I don't exactly remember how I took the information, but I'm already at the date. I'm already eating my food. I'm expecting him to pay for my food. And the guy's still sitting in front of me. I mean, like, what do you even say? So I was probably like, oh, okay. Yeah. Now, I will say, I typically end up talking to people or dating people who are cigarette smokers or they do other bad things. So, as long as people are trying their best to be better, that's okay. Like, I will still give them a chance. Like, he said ex-meth-head, or he said he used to be a meth head, and he doesn't do drugs, and he doesn't drink to stay sober. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I mean, he's been great all the way up to this point. Yes, that is a hell of a curveball, but he's still a good guy. Now, I know you're thinking like, Caitlin, why did you even go on a date with this guy? Well, he was really attractive. His face was clear. And after he told me that he was a meth head, or he used to be a meth head, I was looking at his teeth, and his teeth are perfect. There was no clear way of me knowing physically that he used to do hard drugs. Like, on all like physical levels, he was healthy, he was fine. The problem was that he was fucked up mentally. And I'll get into why I say that. So the date went really well, and I continued talking to him. That weekend, me and Emily were going to Corpus. We have been going to Corpus together by ourselves since we were little kids. Emily's pops lives up there, and he always like invites us with open arms. We have a place to stay. Why would we not go? It's only a 4-hour drive, and it's a girls' trip every time, and we really enjoy being down here because it's a getaway from the city. We went to Corpus, and while we were there, Emily was meeting up with this guy who she had been talking to, and I was by myself at the party. Before the party, we had bought some Mike's Hard Tall Boys, and this was back in the day, so I didn't really mind the hangover or propulsive throwing up, So I was just chilling by myself at this house party in Corpus. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to down this shit. I might as well just be drunk and have a good time because maybe I'll get some balls and say hello to people, whatever. So I just kind of sat there and I drank the full thing. And I guess, like, since you're bored and you have your phone, you just text whoever is texting you. And that guy, Chris, was texting me. So I ended up telling him that I was drunk. Bitch, I should have not said that. My phone started blowing up with text messages. First, he was concerned. And he was like, are you okay? What's wrong? Why are you drinking? I thought you didn't drink, blah, blah, this, that. And then I wasn't answering because, hello, I'm at a house party. And I told him that, like, I'm drinking because I'm at a party. Like, why would I sit here just sober, Which is totally fine if you do. But I was just like, I'm at a party. I might as well drink because everyone else is drinking. That's the vibe I was kind of putting off, which is common, And I guess as soon as I said that, he got really upset. He was like, so you lied to me and all this. And I just remember I was like, he's starting to make me mad. So I stopped paying attention to him. That was an even worse idea because then he started calling me and calling me and calling me. And then finally I removed myself from like the party. And when I answered the phone to tell him to stop, he was screaming at me. Like screaming at me. And Emily saw me leave and she followed me out. And by the time she found me, I was like in the front yard and I was like crying because this guy is screaming at me while I'm drunk. And to make it worse, he was like, I'm getting in my car right now and I'm driving down there and I'm shooting up that party. And so like, I mean, clearly that wasn't going to happen because he didn't have the address we were at. But I was still scared because I was drunk and I wasn't in the right state of mind. So I was crying because I was like, oh my God, all these people, And then I hung up on him because I was like, I couldn't breathe and I was trying to collect myself. And then he called me again. And then he threatened to go to my parents' house and kill them. Yeah. And so I was sloppy crying and I was sloppy crying by the time Emily found me and I hung up because Emily walked up to me and we went to her car so I could collect myself. And that boy called me again, but this time Emily answered and he started right off the bat saying like the nastiest things. Like he was calling me every which word in the book, even some words not in the book. I don't know. He must have been, it was a meth. He was making up shit. And Emily just listened to him for a second, and I guess she understood what was going on. And Emily started going off. And then he said some stupid shit to Emily, and Emily popped off even harder. And she muted us, and we started laughing. And if you know me in person, I'm pretty giggly. Once I start laughing, it's actually really hard to get me to stop laughing. Like I go from the smiling to the giggling to the laughing and I laugh hysterically. And then I go back to the giggling after chilling out of the laughing. And then I just sit there and smile like probably for the next hour. So if anything funny happens within the next hour of me stop laughing, I'm just going to go back up again. I don't know. I'm just a giggly, happy person. So I was drunk. I switched my mood really quick because my friend came to my rescue. And I know he made Emily mad because I was in this situation and I was low-key ruining it for her because she's supposed to be inside talking to this guy and she's having to deal with me drunk crying. And this guy's like threatening us and calling us every which name in the book. Yeah, so I ended up blocking him and thank God that I drove my own car to 54th Street. This is another reason why you don't let people pick you up from dates because then they know where you live. And if they're batshit crazy like this guy, Chris, they will come actually shoot up your house. So that was a story of the date that I went on with an ex-meth-head. Would I do it again? Now, I didn't know that he was an ex-meth head but until I got to the date. So that's like asking me, would I never go on a date again? No, I'm never not going to go on a date again. But if I know that they had done meth in the past, I'm not going down that road again. That was just, I didn't think that I was going to say that out loud, but here we are. I should probably just make like the cover art of this episode a crystal for crystal meth. I could have made his fake name Crystal. But then I would have to think about it. Yeah, no. So that was that story. Originally, I was going to go straight into talking about my experience at Astroworld after my terrible experience at Stubbs Amphitheater. So that got sidetracked. But I'm reeling it back in. At Stubbs, like I said before, I had a really bad time, but I had a way worse time at Astroworld. I went with Emily in the year 2019 and the year 2021. The first year that I had ever went to Astroworld, me, Emily, and her brother Jeremy, we went all together. We needed Jeremy to come because he needed to be our chaperone, and also we needed him to go to the hotel. Like, he needed to check in at the hotel. We couldn't do it at 18 years old. Or I couldn't do it at 18 years old. Emily's 1 year younger than me, so I couldn't do it. So the three of us went to Astroworld, and Emily is a planner. She was like, like before we even went, she was saying that we have to wake up early and wait in line because then people start jumping the gate and chaos breaks loose, whatever. So we got up really early and we showed up at 9 o'clock when the gates opened at 12. When we got there, our acquaintance at the time, Joseph, he's now our friend after the shit that we went through with him. We ran into him. So we just kind of chit-chatted in line. And while we were waiting there, we had probably been waiting for like an hour and a half, I would say. I don't really remember all the details because I've repressed this whole situation. I don't think about bad stuff very often. So this is just something that, has been at the top of my mind since the Cannons concert because it was some way similar. We're waiting there for about an hour and a half, and then people from the back of the line started running to the front. Well, why are we going to give up our spot that we had been waiting here for an hour and a half, and we still had an hour and a half to go to the people who just showed up? Like, those people got to go to breakfast, and they got to pregame before and take their time, and then they get to run up to the front and take our spot. No, that's not how it works. So as everyone was running up, we all started to push up as well. I ended up losing Emily, but I stayed with Joseph. So that's how that went. And we basically made it to right in front of the front gate. And it was fine. I mean, like, yes, it was a little crowded, but it was nothing that was terrible. The terrible part was, though, is that whenever time came when they needed to open the gate, we were packed like sardines and no one realized that there was a curb behind us. So the gates opened outward, meaning that everyone who was in the front started pushing backwards in order to get in. That's logic. That makes sense. And once we were going backwards, people started falling on their back because of the curb. And there was at least 3 people stacked underneath us before it was our turn to fall backwards. Joseph was behind me, and the second that I laid back on Joseph, I could hear him wheezing because he has asthma and he couldn't breathe. So I'm freaking out because my friend underneath me is being squished by me, and I was a lot thinner at the time, but I am still like dead weight, What made it worse was that the guy in front of me was like double the size of me, probably triple the size, and my friend beneath me couldn't breathe. So I like laid there like a cockroach, and I caught this big guy with my hands and my legs, and I rolled him to the row next to us. It was either me or them, and it was going to be them. I'll pick myself over some random people any day. Joseph is still underneath me, and we're all panicking. I don't know where this pole came from, but we found a pole, and we were able to pull ourselves up on it. And in the midst of that happening, I lost Joseph. I remember whenever I finally got up on the pole, it was a complete nightmare. I looked behind me and there were people passed out. I looked to the right of me and there were grown men screaming and crying for their lives. Then I looked like a little bit more forward to the right, and there was what I would describe like soccer boys screaming and crying for their lives. They were the same age as me. Like everyone's faces were red. No one could breathe. And like this was just happening. We hadn't even been into the astral world yet. I turned around because I realized that nothing that I could do just standing there watching was going to be any good for me or the other people. And when I turned around, a policeman was on his horse and the horse stepped on my fucking foot. If I hadn't had adrenaline, I probably would have sat there and screamed and cried, because imagine a horse stepping on your foot. I was also younger. If that happened to me now, I would be pissed and my foot would probably be broken. So thank God the adrenaline pushed me through that day. Whenever I got through the gate that started all this chaos, I eventually found Emily, but the only reason that I found her was because she saw me first and she started yelling my name. She was at the front of the ticket booth and there was only a couple people behind her because it was so early on in the chaos that she just got through. If there's one thing about Emily, she's going to get where she needs to be in a real quick way. So she got to the front of the line real quick and I met her there. It was really spooky after that because there was probably about like 3,000 people in the NRG parking lot. And if Emily would have yelled my name at that point in time and I was just now walking to the gate, I would have heard her. It was dead silent. Everyone had had some sort of traumatic experience and we were all just quiet. It was just quiet. It was really spooky and it honestly gives me chills just talking about it because it was probably the most bizarre thing I have ever witnessed. So we were in that crowd because we had bought general admission tickets, and that year the Astroworld Festival was only one day. That in 2019, the lineup included Travis Scott, Megan Thee Stallion, Pop Smoke, Young Thug, Marilyn Manson, Pharrell Williams, DaBaby, Migos, Don Toliver, Young Dolph, Key Glock, Gucci Mane, Sheck West, and a couple others. But that was, the majority of the lineup. So we went. We also had been wanting to go to Astroworld because of the people that Travis Scott brings. Before I tell any more of the story, I have never been a huge fan of Travis Scott. His music is okay, but it doesn't appeal to me in the same way that other people's music does. Another thing is that I'm not someone who depends on music. Music did not save my life. I'm not a music junkie. I just enjoy being in a cool atmosphere and I like the people that music brings around. I'm not a music junkie. I am going for the atmosphere and for the experience. By the end of the day, I was tired, I was cold, I was traumatized, and I had no intention of seeing Travis Scott's set because I had witnessed firsthand how his fans react. I can't imagine how they were going to react to Travis himself. I mean, that's their god. If they were acting this way before Travis even stepped foot or sang a note on the stage, I don't want to be caught up in the Travis Scott fan mix-up. While his set was starting, I remember I was at the way, way, way back of the stadium. It's not the stadium. Of the festival, lot. And I was just there. I was drained, cold, tired, traumatized. I was just sitting there. I was just sitting there in the moment. I don't really remember what I thought. I was just tired. I did, though, get really excited because that was the year the song Hot came out. So Travis brought out Gunna and Drake. Gunna was my favorite artist at the time. So hell yeah, I stood the fuck up and I watched that set. But during that set, my phone died. And before my phone died, Emily was telling me that she had to leave early. Why did she have to leave early? I never got that answer. So I was just there and I had told her, well, I'm going to stay here until it's done. And that's what I did. I stayed there until it was done. And what happened was that they escorted everyone out of the stadium parking lot a whole opposite way of where we came in. I was in the middle of Houston at like 1:30 in the morning with my phone dead and no friend. I mean, I was by myself. What made it worse was that Houston is not a great place regarding crime. And if you know anything about where stadiums are put and where big event places are put, they're in the tougher part of towns because that land is cheap. So I'm in the tough part of town with no phone by myself in the middle of the night. And I don't know where I'm at. There's like, it's just me, myself, and I by myself. I ended up finding Emily, but that day was pretty tough. 2020 rolls around and it's January whenever Travis announces that he's going to have another festival. This time, though, it's going to be a 2 days worth of festival. I don't remember if I saw the lineup before I had told Emily that I wanted to go, but I knew I wanted to go because I really enjoyed the atmosphere that Travis Scott provided at Astroworld. Was I traumatized before? Hell yeah, I was, but I had learned my lesson and I knew I wanted to buy VIP tickets to avoid the chaos that we had struggled through the year before. Emily saves money like a motherfucker. I don't understand how she has so much money saved. She's always been this way. Like, she's that bitch. She's that girl whenever it comes to money. Now, was she happy that I said I was buying a VIP ticket that year? No, because the VIP ticket was $800 before taxes. The way that I was able to get my ticket was through my tax return. So it was easy for me just to drop that $800 because I had been living with it as if it never existed. That year's lineup consisted of, well, actually, let me clarify this. We bought the tickets back in 2020, but then COVID hit and they postponed it until 2021. That lineup included Bad Bunny, SZA, Lil Baby, Young Thug, 21, Chief Keef, Metro Boomin, Tame Impala, Earth, Wind and Fire, Don Toliver, Roddy Ricch, Sheck West, and there was many more people, but that's who was there for that lineup that I could remember. Back to the VIP ticket. Why was the VIP ticket so expensive? We bought the lowest tier of the VIP tickets. It was called Stargazing, and basically it was like $400 for 2 days, which wasn't that bad when you broke it down like that. We had our own merch stand, our own lockers, separate restrooms. We had early access to the festival grounds, which was really important. They also had a separate entrance, which meant that we could avoid the chaos. We got sent a free shirt. There was separate food available for us. And also, one of the important things was that we had separate viewing areas. That year, I had went a lot more hard than I did before because I wasn't traumatized at the beginning of the day. So I had a lot more energy and I was a lot more excited because of the separate viewing areas and because of the good start to the day. Now, the separate viewing areas were great, but they were just as packed as the general admission viewing areas. I wasn't at the rail that day that we had gone, but I was like a couple rows behind it where I could see Emily, and I vividly remember Lil Baby's set, and I jumped up, because everyone's jumping, and I didn't come back down for like 3 seconds. We were packed so tight in there that the people next to me squeezed me while I was jumping, and I was just levitating. SZA performed right before Travis went on. And like I had explained to y'all before, I'm sorry, I said before twice. And as I had explained earlier, I'm not a huge fan of Travis, but I really, really, really love SZA. So I stayed for a SZA set, and Emily left early for Travis's set. So I had no idea where Emily was. And whenever SZA was done, Travis was supposed to come on the minute that she turned her mic off. That's just all the time they had in the day, and that's how it worked. I walked very, very slow to Travis's set because I, again, I didn't really want to see him. I didn't mind if I was at the back. I preferred to be at the back, actually. Of course, he didn't start the second that SZA's mic went off. It never happens like that. So, it doesn't happen like that. It's showbiz. They go on whenever they want to. So people were like flooding in, and I was walking in a straight line at the very back, like right next to the food stations, and there were people engulfing me in the audience. And Travis wasn't even on yet. Like, people were being chaotic and sprinting and running way, way, way behind the crowd. They had said in the news whenever everything came out about Astroworld 2021 that there was a football field worth of people there to see his set. But there was definitely more than that. I highly doubt that they sold, the safest amount of tickets. I am sure that they sold more tickets than the capacity. Granted, the grounds of the festival were very large and spread out, and I am appreciative about that. But Travis's set was very narrow, and there were trees blocking the front of it. So, of course, everyone's going to push forward to see, because a lot of people are there to see him and only him. I finally made my way to the VIP section. Emily was already in there, living her best life. Travis was already on. I was just kind of standing there next to the tree in the front, and then I found my way up the tree, and I climbed up the tree, and I watched Travis Scott from the tree. I really enjoyed my time that year. I remember finding Emily while I was sitting on the tree. I got down from the tree. We walked to the car together. We took pictures in front of our VIP section, and we had a blast. We hadn't known the horrific events that had happened that night. While we were taking our pictures in front of the stage from the VIP section, we didn't see anyone. Like, there was no one on the ground. There was no ambulance, no healthcare professionals. Like, everyone was just like, it was a ghost town. We left downtown Houston, went back to our Airbnb, showered, laid out our outfit for the next day, and I remember waking up so sore. Emily was sore too because our alarm went off, which woke both of us up, and we just turned that shit off. We were like, we need some more time. Like, I couldn't even lift my shoulders up to turn off the alarm. We were very sore because we got to experience Astroworld in a safe way. Like, our bodies were still beat up, but we got to experience it front row Joe, and we, caught the vibe. Probably like an hour or two goes by where we slept in, and I don't know, I think it was Emily's mom who ended up getting a hold of her, and I remember her mom was like crying hysterically, and we were so confused. We're like, what the heck is wrong with this lady? But then she had explained to us that we needed to turn on the TV and turn on the Houston news, and that's whenever we saw that people had died at Astroworld. I can't imagine how it must have been for for all of our family, because we weren't responding at the time that we said that we were going to be awake at, and we never told them that we had gotten home. So I'm sure that was probably all of our family's worst nightmare. And I'm saying family because, I want to say mom, but all of your family cares about you. And we told everyone where we were going. We posted on Facebook, like, on the way to Houston for Astroworld, like, we told everyone. We bragged about going there. Like, we were excited. That was our event of the year. Fuck, we paid $800 and more because we had to rent out an Airbnb. So we spent hella money. My time at Astroworld 2021 was the better Astroworld that I had been to out of the two, because I had not been traumatized again like I had been the year before. So a couple weeks go by, and shit is going down. Fines are being handed out. People are going to court. They're trying to figure out how we're going to deal with this whole Astroworld situation. I don't know who had decided, but someone decided that in order to reach a settlement and an agreement that we would not sue Travis Scott. They were just going to give us back our ticket money. So me and Emily got back $800 that year. Downside was that didn't cover our Airbnb, and we had bought a shit ton of merchandise because the year before when we had gone, everyone wanted our merchandise for a ridiculous price, so we had bought extra. And now we both still own this merchandise that we're too embarrassed to wear, and this is an event that we don't speak about, and it's just sitting there, like expensive ass clothes that are just like they're like haunted basically. You're probably wondering how I feel about Travis Scott afterwards. Like, do I think he committed a crime? Do I think that he should be charged for the deaths of those people? I have many opinions on certain things about this event that happened. I'm not very confident about the big question, like, should he be charged for their deaths? I really don't know, because I want to think logically, but also, like, I don't care about Travis Scott, so I haven't looked into it that much, so I'm just speaking out of my ass. I do know that the youngest one who died at Astroworld was 9 years old, and that is so young to pass away at. I don't really know if they were there with their friends, their family, their parents, or if they were there with their friends, but I think it was really stupid for someone to let this young child go to a place that's meant for adults. If the parents would have at least thought about their kid or considered the fact that Travis Scott has a track record of having dangerous concerts, they probably would have realized that their 9-year-old child going to an adult concert was not a good idea. Now, am I saying that he deserved to die? Absolutely not. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that it was ignorant for the child's parents or guardians to allow them to go to something like that. I am not sure how the charges in the case and the fines went down, but me personally, I don't feel any emotional connection with Travis Scott himself, and I'm seeing this in black and white. He didn't kill those people. He did not go up to those people and kill them. So I don't think that he could be charged for murder on first. I don't think he should be charged on first degree murder of those people. That is not realistic. Now, what I do think that needed to happen was that I think that NRG Stadium needs to ban Travis Scott from having a festival, and he needed to be fined heavily. I also think that the city needed to be fined heavily, along with a lot of people on Travis Scott's team. There are people whose job it is to provide and make sure that things are going to go safely, and that just didn't happen. I mean, I don't see the city not having someone who's overlooking all the plans and the layout of this festival. So that's why I'm saying the city needs to be fined as well, because they let that happen in their city. Travis Scott needs to be banned from having a festival there. Clearly, him and his team have showed us that they cannot conduct their job safely. They can't conduct a festival safely. They have failed all of us who were there. And I feel this way, and I feel so strongly about this. I feel strongly about that because although I didn't die and I had a great time in 2021, I was traumatized in 2019. I have a problem with crowds now. I don't like going to concerts that aren't seated. And that's because of Astroworld 2019. I don't think that one person should be held accountable for this. I think it is a many people kind of thing. But I don't see a solution to this. Me personally, I really hoped that Travis Scott and his career would fail after this. And it honestly should have, because at this point, why are people following him? why are people okay with knowing that their favorite artist is encouraging their fan base to hurt each other by moshing and committing chaos? That's not right. To me, that just shows that he sees his fan as lesser people than himself. And I also say this because of a reason. You know, on Twitter, he's telling everyone, jump over the gate, let's rage. But what he's not considering is the way that it affects people afterwards. I remember in 2021, I was watching this guy and he was like running. And I was like, why is this guy running? And I realized that he had jumped the first set of gates and the police were running after him. And I saw him get tased and he fell smack dab on his face while being tased for an opportunity at Astroworld. And Travis Scott is encouraging that on his social media. That kid probably broke his nose and lost some teeth. And then, he's got to sit in jail because he's trespassing. Travis Scott isn't going to pay anyone's bail or medical fees. That's like really unsettling to me. And I know the shit that I'm saying right now is going to piss some people off, but let's see in black and white, people. Travis Scott is not a good person if he's encouraging this behavior. But you know what? Those people who are getting mad at me, because I know there are some diehard Travis Scott listeners who listen to my podcast, you can be mad all you want, but if you see black and white, you'll understand that he doesn't give a fuck about you and you shouldn't give a fuck about him. So yeah, that was my experience at Astroworlds 2019, 2021. 2019, I got traumatized. 2021, I had a great time, but people died, so I can't say that. I couldn't post Instagram pictures about that. It was a horrific thing that happened, and it's just not right for me to talk about it and say that I really enjoyed it when people lost their lives to that concert and festival. Also, I want to point out, I was watching Travis Scott's set, but I never in the crowd realized or noticed that he was saying like, oh, why is there an ambulance in the crowd? Like, I don't know. I missed that part. But also, if you're at a concert or if you're anywhere and an ambulance is somewhere and the sirens are on, something is wrong. You need to move out of the way. That's actually law. Why would he say that it's okay for people to jump on the ambulance if that wasn't part of his stage set? So that's another point why he's a terrible person. And he does need to have charges. I just don't know what he can be charged for, but he needs to suffer more consequences than what he has, because I don't think he needs to have a career after that. Okay, end of story. We're moving on now. All right, shout out Anicia for this segment. We are going to be talking about things that adults need to stop doing, social media edition. All right, so y'all know I am the queen of having opinions. The queen of having aggressive opinions, that is. Y'all. I know y'all have seen all these things that I'm about to talk about, and if it's you, cut that shit out. I'm just telling you that right now. If it's you, I have a plan for you later, and I will explain that. So, first order of business, we are not... Well, actually, let me take it back. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like it's really weird to have Snapchat now as an adult, because I'm not adding people on Snapchat anymore. If I want to talk to someone, I am talking to them through text message or Instagram. And the only reason that I'm talking to them through Instagram rather than text message is because you can't really network on Snapchat unless someone is adding them. But you can network on Instagram because you can see their profile, you can see who they follow. Like there is some sort of networking that goes on there, but Snapchat, unless someone directly gives you someone's username, there is no community building there. And I just think that Snapchat is, it's like a dying social media. But that's just my opinion. I'm not adding anyone new. So everyone who I have on there is from like high school or middle school. Like those people are from school or, from Tinder if I don't want to give them my number. But now I just block them. That was like, Snapchat is full of people who I had a relationship with romantically and as a friend when I was younger, and that's who's on there. Back to what I was saying. I cannot stand seeing people posting like a picture of them frowning and them quoting it, I had a rough day. Bro, that's so lame. Why did you even waste my time? Why did you waste everyone's time? Because I know that if you're posting that, you're not posting it with like a 5-second time limit. No, you're keeping it on there for an infinite amount of time until you click off. If I am going through Snapchat stories and I'm wiping my ass in the middle of looking at my phone and you're like just stuck there and it's not rolling through, I'm like stuck seeing it and now I've wasted my time reading it. Most of these things that I am going to be hitting on, it's just people calling for attention. If you really want attention, download Tinder and match with everyone. Because it doesn't matter if they're ugly or not, they will talk to you. And clearly all you want is for someone to talk to you. So take it to Tinder or go play video games and join Twitch and then be like, who wants to play Apex with me? Then you'll have a friend for life. Don't post sad, sappy shit that is attention-seeking post on any social media. Don't do it. I see it mostly on Snapchat, but don't do it anywhere. Another one that I see all the time is like from freaking losers who are really cringy and annoying. They'll post like a picture of them popping out their hip or them flexing their money and they'll quote it like, no one loves me. Yeah, no one loves you because you're cringe as fuck and you're annoying because you're posting this shit online. I rolled my eyes so hard, I thought they were really gonna stay at the back of my head. I probably should close my eyes while I talk about this because these are all really freaking cringy. Okay, now this got my fucking blood boiling. I hate this. And I mean hate in all caps. Hate. Hate. Hate this. Stop posting hospital pictures. I hate that shit. I hate seeing you post your limp ass arm with your crooked ass wrist with your little hospital wristband on top of your hospital gown in the ER because your tummy hurts. That's some bullshit. Grow the fuck up. I hate seeing that. Like there is nothing that screams I need attention aside from that because no one has kept up with you since school. So why do we need to know that your stomach hurts and you went to the ER for that because you didn't take no Pepto-Bismol or you're refusing to throw up or you're lactose intolerant and you ate a block of cheese? That's so cringe. You know what? Actually, whenever I start the vodcast, I will have a green screen number. And if I see anyone on my fucking Snapchat who posts that shit or posts any of this shit, I should make that a segment there. I will be screenshotting it, screenshotting your Instagram, and we're going to be roasting the fuck out of you. Next. Okay, this one is really stupid. This was happening like peak COVID, and some people still do it. But stop announcing that you're leaving social media. Why are you leaving social media? Oh, it's because no one responds to you or no one talks to you? Well, guess what? No one is going to respond to you or talk to you again, even if you announce that you're leaving social media. We already weren't doing it, so what makes you think that you telling us that you're leaving is going to make a difference? And don't add, if you have my number, just text me. Because we're not. So let's just cut that out. Also, no more crying pictures, please, for the love of God. Unless you're making a meme out of yourself and you're like, I'm sitting here crying to Barbie movie with all my friends. Like, that's cute. Or you're posting like snot running down your face and it's like a really, really, really ugly crying picture and we're all going to make a meme out of you later because of it. That's valid. But if you post a picture of a single tear sliding down your face and you're posting some sad ass quote to it, no, just no. Again, I'm on the toilet. I'm waiting for your stories to run through. And you definitely have that shit on an infinity amount of time and I have to click it. Stop doing that. I've read over this one and I probably said that I shouldn't say this out loud, but I already talked about going on a date with an ex-meth head and how he was going to shoot up the party and kill my parents. So I might as well just say it. Stop posting your last suicidal thoughts and messages on social media. That is such a call for attention because the chances of you actually committing after you have posted that is damn near none. Like, okay, if you're going to commit, don't post about it because those people are just going to intercept you from committing it. That's exactly what you want them to do. You just want people to talk to you. That's so fucking lame. If you're gonna commit, go out like a fucking G. I mean, just saying. Lastly, this one I have been found guilty of it, but this is in the past. I'll announce something large on social media, but after I was looking at my stories one day, I was like, fuck, this is terrible. So we learn from our mistakes, and we all need to learn that no one is reading the text tombstones that we're putting on top of our stories. If you can't fit it in one single line of writing, it probably could have just been a video. Just make a video out of it because the people who actually care will watch your video all the way throughout, just like the people who actually care will read all your text. So just make a video out of it. It's just so much quicker for the rest of us, and it's a lot more intriguing than just sitting there and reading and reading and reading and reading. So that one I don't feel as aggressive about, but that's just a suggestion. It will just make everyone's life easier. All right, I wasn't going to add this one in, but one of my dad's coworkers made this one be on the list. Stop posting slutty shit on your Facebook. Facebook is such a taboo outlet for me because I have all of my family on there, but also all the really hot Hispanic guys are on there on Facebook dating, which I haven't dabbled in Facebook dating yet because I don't post shit about myself on Facebook because I feel like it's taboo that my family is there, and I don't want to post the best pictures of myself because I think the best pictures of myself are a little bit more revealing. So I save that for Instagram and TikTok. And the most revealing stuff is on Snapchat, but those people have been there for a long time, so they can peep that shit. But really, Facebook, you're going to post all your cleavage out and your booty cheeks out on Facebook for your dad and your mom to see? How are you not humiliated by that? You know that they're going to talk about you in their next brunch date. All the aunts are going to sit around the table and they're going to talk shit about you. And what's even more toxic is that if your mom is letting you post that, she's gaslighting you, telling you that they're just jealous of you. They're not jealous of you. That's just so indecent to be posting slutty pictures of yourself on a social media platform that you have your family on. No one's jealous, boo. That's just indecent. I think we are going to end on that rant. That's it. I have already kept y'all here for more than an hour because I'm looking at my time and I'm at an hour 30. I'm going to try really hard not to cut any of that out because at this point, this episode was going to be a one-hit wonder. I'm not re-recording this. Technically, yes, I re-recorded stuff, but it's not like I re-recorded it because it didn't sound good. I mean, it honestly didn't pick up. So another thing that I wanted to point out is that I didn't really go off of a list this time. If you thought that it was all over the place, you can thank my brother Colby. He is the one who told me that it sounds like I'm reading straight off of my notes verbatim. And I'm not saying that I wasn't. I kind of was. But I just went straight off of Dome this time. And if you liked it, I'm glad you did. And if you didn't, please let me know because I will go back to the way I was doing it. I'm just experimenting at this point. But that is going to do it for this week. I am going to... Okay, here's the plan. So I want to start posting more and more on my podcast Instagram. I want to give you either a snippet or the topic rundown of what's going to be upcoming on the Tuesday before I post on Thursday. So I'm thinking that I need to basically have it done by Sunday. to make sure that I can collect my material, have it edited, and then also make my like cute little advertisements and snippets for the Instagram. But we'll see how that goes. If you want to see if I have achieved that goal, you can follow me on Instagram at Kicking It With Caitlin. It is Kicking It With, and with is just a W and then it's a slash. If you want to see if I have achieved my goal of making it by Sunday and posting snippets and topics on Tuesday, you can always follow my podcast Instagram. It's Kicking It With Caitlin. It is Kicking It With, and when I mean with, I mean W. Caitlin. I would keep it as the slash, but unfortunately Instagram does not allow me to put the slash, so we're just rolling with the dot for now. So yeah, Kicking It With Caitlin. That is gonna do it for today's episode. The next episode will be posted on Thursday at 8 a.m. Not this Thursday, but the next Thursday. So me, I am going to make sure that that happens, and there will be a question on Spotify. So just go ahead and answer them because it really helps me, and I'm trying to make this the best experience that I can for everyone. I know I enjoy what I have to say, and I enjoy listening to myself because I've got to listen to myself like 3 times anyways while I'm recording. I have to be my number one fan, and I enjoy what I'm doing. I also want to make sure the listening experience is great for everyone else, so it really just helps me know what everyone likes if you answer the questions on Spotify. Okay, don't forget, new episodes come out at 8 a.m. every other Thursday. I'll see you not next Thursday, but the Thursday after. Bye!